Hi Taurus, how's it going? What I'm seeing be the focus for you right now is you can be like recovering, you can be resting, you can be taking a little bit of a break. This can mean like maybe you're going to be taking time off from work, or maybe there's somewhere where you had been showing up and doing something and you can feel like you need to kind of like recharge. I think this would be more of a pause and recharge so that I can show up more fully tomorrow or like whenever it is that you're going to be returning. And it can be a time too where it's like if you do something where you need focus, you can be restoring that in some way. If you do something where you need inspiration, you can be like maybe spending time collecting some sort of inspiration. Whatever it is, it feels like I'm taking time now to take care of myself so that when I show up, I can show up 100%. So I'm seeing that be the focus. We're starting off with Queen of Cups, and we also have Two of Pentacles. So your internal stuff and focusing on that right now, it can be like focusing on wellness. You can be focusing on creativity, mood, relationships, things that you care about. And this can even be like making sure that you're taking care of yourself on the emotional and mental health front. Maybe there are some things going on where you're like, I care about these things, and I need to connect with myself in this way. I see this like, it feels actually more of like a personal connection that you are focusing on. Yeah, spending time reflecting. So this can be, you can be focusing on your spirituality. You can be focusing on your mental health. You can be focusing on your emotional health and wellness, especially. And you can say, this is really something that I need to focus on right now. And you can be finding answers, you can be gaining clarity, you can be reflecting, you can be meditating, you can be journaling. It's going to be these sorts of things that you're tuning into. And I think all of this is helping you feel level, steady, stable, grounded. Feels like that's kind of the purpose of this, recharged. Because you want to make sure that you're feeling like you're taking care of yourself. So now can be a time when it's like you really want to focus on that for yourself. Okay, so you have some specific things that are going on that you can be trying to gain clarity about. This can be like some complicated stuff that you're involved in. It can be just some things that you look at and you know it's stuff that you need to address right now, and I think you taking this time is giving you the opportunity to do that. It's like no distractions. I need to focus on this. And you can feel like this is going to be better off like if you're dealing with this. Let's say it like this. If you weren't dealing with this, you could be having some underlying anxiety because you know that this is something important that you need to deal with. So it feels like now's the time you're getting the distractions out of the way. You're looking at something that you really feel like you need to like gain clarity on. You need to find answers. You need to resolve these things. They need to be addressed now. And you can recognize that this is really important. I think too that there can be some stuff about what you're focusing on, what you're prioritizing, what's important to you. That can also be something that's being addressed too, because maybe you have different things that are pulling you in different directions, or this thing is saying it's important and that thing is saying it's important, and maybe there's something about getting your priorities straight here. And ones that support and benefit and uplift you. Because maybe you had something going on that you'd been prioritizing or that you'd been focusing on that maybe had been like undermining you and your wellness in some way. That can also be something. And you can be like, well, now I need to take a closer look at that. You could possibly be putting an end to something. You may have recently ended something, or you could be putting an end to something that you see as being problematic. Some of you recently went through something that may have kind of like pushed you into this space of reflection. Because it's looking to me like something that happened that you're like, I want to fully, totally understand this. I don't want to brush it off and then not learn what I needed to learn from this. And it feels like an emotional lesson of some sort. But there could have been other things that were getting in the way of you focusing on this and like dealing with it and being present to it. So you may have even needed to pause certain things. Like, I feel kind of like this. The way that I'm seeing it is that out in the world, you have things that you're responsible for, like people you need to show up for, things you need to show up for, like a life that you're creating and building, and these things are important. However, it feels like there was something going on like at home or on the inside on an internal level or in a more like private sector of your life that maybe you were feeling like, I really need to focus on this area of my life and I can't show up out there unless I'm taking care of things in here. And I feel this being like a bit more private for you that you're doing. Like this can be a more vulnerable and sensitive part of yourself that something was going on that I think like really brought your attention to needing to focus on this part of yourself. And you can feel like it's important for you to do that because if things aren't going well in this sector of your life, it's impacting the way that you're showing up or even failing to show up. And not by anybody else's standards, but your own. Like this can mean that if you're not taking care of this stuff here properly, that you're not able to show up out there in a way that you feel good about. And so it feels like it's really important for you to kind of like check in about this stuff now so that when you do come out of this phase and you are kind of more out and about in the world, that you feel like things are good and you're kind of centered within. Otherwise, you can feel like, you know, I think until we learn this lesson, it can be like, gotta show up for this, gotta show up for that. Meanwhile, you feel like you're falling apart inside, not realizing that you're not even fully showing up out there because something is going on inside that's not being dealt with and there's something chaotic that's happening. So this feels like taking care of things within yourself first and knowing that that's gonna have a butterfly effect on your other things. So if you're good and you're balanced and you're showing up for yourself within, it's going to allow you to show up out there in the way that you want to. And seeing like the relationship between the two of those things. But this is a part of you that it may be kind of easier to like cover up, hide, sometimes even like put off dealing with it. But it's like we realize that it's actually one of the most important. I think over time, this is something that we can see. That even as much as we can compartmentalize, it's important that we show up for this part of ourselves because we can like think that things are compartmentalized and then you'll see stuff like bleeding into other areas of your life in ways that you can find troublesome. So it feels like now is the time where you're taking a closer look at this stuff and tending to it. And I do get this sense like something happened that maybe brought your attention to this where you're like, I really do need to be present to this and present to myself, I feel. I'm seeing the sign of Virgo here. Virgo is a sign that's connected with wellness, among other things. You have a new chapter, I am seeing. That means that there can like potentially be an offer that's on the table. This can also be a new chapter that you're beginning on the emotional front with yourself, but for some of you, there can be a connection that's kind of in the queue. But before you're active on this, it feels like it's sitting there and you know that it's sitting there, but you can feel like you need to deal with this and then that's something that you can consider. And maybe right now you're still kind of thinking about things. Yeah, I get it like this. It's like an unread text message that you have and you know that it's there, but you can feel like you need to work some stuff out within yourself. And then once that's squared away, you can open that and then decide what you want to do about it. But in the meantime, I'm seeing you focus on things within yourself, but I also feel like you could be kind of like silently reading the text message, but maybe like not saying anything about it. It feels sort of like that. Like, I need to reflect on this. I need some more time to be thinking about this. I'm managing that text message, metaphorically speaking, maybe for some of you for real, but it feels more so like, an example can be like, maybe you have somebody that wants to connect with you and you can know that they want to, but you can be like, I'm balancing that with some of my own personal stuff, and I'm figuring out how to be like present to everything, and I'm figuring out how to prioritize efficiently and effectively, which may not have been what was being done before, and now it can feel like there's a good reason for you to be doing that. And I feel too like you're not in a rush. I don't get that sense of things here. I get like, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to reflect on things. I'm going to find answers. I'm going to think about stuff. And I'm not going to be, even though you have something around, because I'm seeing something come up within your energy that looks like a chapter that you can press play on when you're ready. At the same time, you can feel like there's still some things that you're figuring out. You don't feel totally clear yet. And once you have, I think, like, reflected a bit more, found some more clarity, then you can be ready to decide what you want to do about this. I definitely get like, I'm aware that that is there, but I need to be present to this stuff because it is really important that I do this, because you don't want to know that there's something personally with you that you need to deal with and you're like, never mind, push that aside and then go off on an adventure over here. It feels like it's really important that you don't neglect this stuff. And this can even be a time when it's showing you the importance of balance. So that's where I'm seeing you be within the timeline. It's really important that you take time to take care of yourself right now and to not let anything rush you out of this period. Because yeah, I do get the sense like you can feel, if you're being totally honest with yourself, you can feel like you were not prioritizing correctly before, like efficiently, effectively. And not that as any judgment, but you can look at how something was happening and saying like, I really need to shape up. Like, I really need to check myself here. And I need to make sure that I'm focusing on what is important, because I know I'm not going to be able to show up in a way that I feel good about unless I'm doing that. So I'm seeing you really be showing up for yourself here. And I think it's like not an easy time on you emotionally. But I am getting that there's something here that you're in the process of clearing out so that you can have a new chapter and you can feel like you're entering into that new chapter with your mind being clear and ready and present. And it feels like that's really what the focus is right now, because even though you see this thing that's in the queue, you can feel like you can't fully show up for it unless you're fully showing up for yourself first. So now is about doing that. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.